Whakalofa, kia ora, malolele, aloha pulevinaka, whakalofalahi atu, kia orana. And what's good, everybody? This is Frosty and DJ Waves, and this here is the Also Table Talk interviews. If you tuned into our last episode of season 2, you would remember that we're going to do something different because I was moving away from the Usos, moving out of Sydney into the Gold Coast. So this is it. This is our interviews part, and today we have a very special guest with us. It is our honor and privilege to be able to share this OG story. He's a Triple OG from Carson in California. He's done a lot of life. He's seen a lot of things, and he has a massive story to tell. And he just wants to get his story out there and also share his heart and to encourage the youth and to encourage our people and uplift our people. He also is the head of the re-entry program of the Fall Movement, which he will go into detail a bit later and to share about what they're doing out in the United States, and also just what they're doing to encourage our people and to show our people a better way. So with no further ado, I would like to introduce our Uso, Bell Taulua AKA Pineapple and Pine. What's good, Uso?
Mahalo lava, talo for lava. Mahalo, my brothers. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, and just as we said just as I said in the intro, it is our honor and privilege to have somebody like you on our podcast, on our interviews. A section of our podcast, and we just want to get your story out there. So I guess we'll just dive straight into it, and if you could share with us just about, maybe let's start from the very beginning, your childhood, how you grew up and how you were raised, if you wanted to share a little bit about that.
Yeah, most definitely. I was born in Hawaii. I grew up in California. We stayed in Northern California when we was about, I'll say maybe about 4 years old, 3-4 years old. And then we moved down to Southern California. That's over there by Los Angeles area. We ended up, my mom and dad ended up getting a house in Carson. And so that's where I grew up at. Growing up wasn't bad. I was going to church. I was a Seventh-day Adventist. We were the first Samoan Seventh-day Adventist in Compton.
Wow.
So the house was very strict. You know how the Samoan parents are. They're very strict. It's all about the hours, going to church, go to school, come back, and for hours. They do the local at night, and that's pretty much it. I wasn't really allowed to get involved in sports when I was young. There was no support there, and so wasn't doing too good in school. Still trying to learn things about how things are, because your parents, they come from Samoa. They don't understand the American way. They don't speak English, so they're not too familiar with everything. They just go to work, come home, and that's pretty much it. So when you step out that door, it's all about, you have to learn on your own. And so, it was tough, when I grew up, it was at that neighborhood I grew up at. First, it was a lot of Palangis. But then slowly but surely, the Palangis moved out. It was 3 Samoan families and maybe 2 Meuli families.
Yeah.
And then some Mexicans, but majority was Palangis. So when the brown people started coming in, the Palangis were slowly moving out.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, all the guys, we just started being a gang. I wasn't doing good in school because I wasn't allowed to do any sports or anything like that. And instead of just continuing my studies, I just got involved, with the bad kids, and I started about 7th grade. When I was probably about 13, 14, I started smoking weed. That's how I started off. When I got to about the 9th grade, I started drinking. And when I got to the 10th grade, it was like, it was on and cracking.
Yeah.
It went from smoking weed, drinking beer, hanging out.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting to the harder drugs, angel dust,
Yeah.
PCP, and things
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
And so now I got involved with the gang. So, I quickly went up the ranks in the gangs because back in those days in the 70s, you had to fight a lot.
Yeah.
And so you had to prove yourself that way. So, the Uso was pretty good with these Limas, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and so I became one of the leaders at an early age in
Wow.
my neighborhood, and
Yeah.
uh, not too long after that, though, I'm still trying to remember things because
Yeah.
Joe Uso's kind of triple OG. I gotta get the memory back,
Yeah. Yeah.
but yeah. So while I was going through that, I tried to turn it around.
Yeah.
I was about 18, 19 years old. I was trying to do the right thing. My mom and dad was always in my ear about church.
Yeah.
So I settled down. Got married. Things were going pretty good the first year.
Yeah.
I started working, but the money just wasn't good enough. The money that you make at work and the money that you get from the streets.
Yeah.
So when things got bad at work, I went right back to the streets. And so, it started getting rough in the streets and I was getting in trouble. I was starting to go back to jail now.
Yeah.
And so I kept getting busted. I kept, your Uso, man, he's just clumsy like that, man. I can't stay away from
Yeah.
them little man. So, uh, I kept going back in the LA County jail. And finally, my wife got tired of it. This is after 5 years.
Yeah.
My wife got tired of it, and I had 3 kids, and she just decided that that was it. And so
Wow.
that the drugs, the drinking, and all that, and then she left. It just blew my mind.
Yeah.
I couldn't handle it. I didn't have the tools to handle that part of life. The tools I had was all about getting high, out in the streets, doing what we do. But when it comes to real life, I couldn't deal with it. Moms and pops, dad, he was there, and I'm not blaming him for any bad choices I made, but my pops was there. But we never really sat down and we had life talk, like, son, this is how you do this. I mean, he'll say that in a scolding way when you get in trouble or something, but never a man to man sit down and I want you to do this like this, and when you get married, those type of conversations, this is how
Yeah.
you deal with things. So I never had those conversations with my pops, and I know he loved me, but they, how moms and pops are in our culture, their generation, they teach you by their actions. They go to
Right.
work, they love you like that, but when
Yeah.
it comes down to sitting and schooling you, it's something
Yeah.
different. So
Yeah.
anyways, when that happened to me, when my wife decided to leave, I didn't know how it was going to affect me. I didn't know it was going to affect me that way,
Yeah.
because I was like always on the run. I was always doing my thing. Never thought about that. And when it happened, it just broke me down. And so, boom, I was right into the life. I went right back to
Yeah.
everything that I know. Went back to the hood,
Yeah.
started doing the drugs, started selling drugs, started getting in trouble. Like I didn't care. If I get
Yeah.
killed, I get killed. If I die, I die. Oh well.
So you were
Anyways,
saying,
that's when I picked up this case. What's that?
sorry, I was just gonna say, you were talking about the gang that you joined and that you climbed the ranks. So you were sharing with me, and I had heard in another podcast. Shout out to Ron from 30 to Life. I heard on that podcast that it was you were in a Mexican gang.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a gang. The majority was Mexicans, and so to me, if I went to an because I grew up with them, I went to school with them, and so it wouldn't make sense for me to go join another gang from another city, from another neighborhood,
Yeah.
and I'm living right here,
Yeah.
and plus. that's when all the gangs were all started coming out in the 70s. This is my generation. We're the ones, I'm ashamed to admit it. I'm embarrassed to say it all the time, but we're the generation that started all this. And so that's why it's so important for me to speak out on it, because now we're starting to, we want to make a change for all our brothers and sisters that, that came after us. So all the gangs out here in LA, as far as the Samoan gangs and a lot of the gangs, life started in the 70s, back in the 70s. So all the Samoan gangs was coming out, Compton, Long Beach, Torrance, you name it. It was just all over the place. Santa Ana, Orange County, San Diego. It was just, it spread like wildfire.
Yeah.
And so for me, the one thing I knew is that, most Samoans were all related. Some way or another, we're all related. So that stopped me from joining another Samoan gang. I didn't want to, something happened. I might kill my cousin by accident or something.
Yeah.
And, so that's going to be, that's like just double trouble. If you start fighting with another Uso from your family or something, then when you come home, that family's going to be at the house, knocking at the door, telling your mom and daddy. So not only are you going to get, whatever punishment you're going to get from the streets, but you're going to get punished again when you get home.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what made me just stick to the Mexicans, the essays. And plus I like their little swag, man. They, something about the essays, man, you creased up, you got the baggy pants, you got the Stacy's, you got the hats, the lowriders. It was something about that, I liked. And I still iron my clothes. I'm not messing. I don't mess around or nothing, but I iron my clothes. I'm just used to it when I was young.
Yeah, Waves will agree with me that that whole Chicano scene or the Cholo sort of swag, everyone tried to emulate it out here and in New Zealand. Like everyone was wearing Dickies and trying to wear, all their Chuck Taylors and creased up, and
Yep.
that was a big thing out here. Heaps of people wear Raider gear out here. But they don't actually watch football. Well, they don't go for Raiders, but they wear
it's more
Raider
so just
caps
the
because
color.
of the influence that came out of out of LA. And so yeah, it's crazy.
I wanted to quickly just ask. I know you were saying that you didn't really have that sort of sit down relationship with your father, um, and just hearing that how like you kind of really were drawn towards more your sorry, I don't know how to say it, but like the leaders of your gang at that time, would you say they were more like dominant in playing that kind of father figure role or role model in your life, like
You
the
talking
leaders of the
about
gang?
in the gangs?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there are homeboys you look up to, but
Yep,
I
yep.
look up to them like brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody can replace your pops. Even though me and my dad didn't have that relationship, but no, I didn't. There was nobody that important to me in the neighborhood that I would look up to and say uh, uh look at like that. But they
No.
were like brothers. They were family. They were like family, man, because I felt at ease when I was around them. I know this type of lifestyle. I kind of felt the lifestyle. And I liked it, and everything that we were doing.
Yeah.
You know, was about that lifestyle, man. We go out there and we gang bang. This is what we do. Once I joined in, I was all in. It was no holding back. It was, and I was willing to die for it. At an early age, I didn't care. If I died, I died. But I'm dying for the hood. That's that
No.
mentality we had.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, look. Let me. We would stand at corners and kicking back. There'll be about uh, uh, 5 or 10 of us or whatever, and we're kicking back, and we think we're protecting the neighborhood. That's what we think we're doing. This is our
Yeah.
neighborhood. We're protecting it, and we're protecting from the public. So the public don't get hurt. That's how crazy our thinking was. So we were like, man, the neighborhood should be looking at us like, give us a thumbs up. But we didn't, this is the crazy mentality that we had. But we didn't understand that we was bringing damage to the community. We was, hurting our community, all that, w- it was just crazy, man. That's that mentality that we had. It was like, we thought we was protecting the hood. Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, but I also, I think I've watched a couple of documentaries that talk about that like a lot of gangs started out of that, protecting their neighborhood because there was a threat from another hate neighborhood or so on and so forth. But you're talking about how you caught this case that you went away for. Um,
Yeah. So you want me to
yeah,
go into
yeah,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. So it was, we was out there. I was working with some dudes from another gang, and we were pretty close. They were from out there deep down in LA. They out there with them. The gangs out there pretty, like been around for a long time. The SA gangs out that way. So one day they came through the house and they wanted me to go to party with them out there in LA. So I'm like, all right, let me take care of some business and we'll roll. Took care of my business. About 30 minutes later, we gone. We gone down to LA. So we going down there and we pull out the bottles and we're dipping, we getting high. I don't know if you guys know, but that's the PCP. You get the cigarette, you dip it in the juice, and you
Oh,
light it up. Boom. We're drinking 40s, so we go down to LA and we at the party. So after the party, that's where everything started going all bad. I was on my way home, got into it with some people, and I took off, and I got chased by the LAPD. So uh, 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 in our world back in them days, anytime you deal with the LAPD, it's on and cracking. You don't stop. You just go and do whatever you're doing because you're going to go to jail. So during that chase in LA, we're going all over the place in LA. They trying to get me, and I, uh, I ran into another car and I killed somebody, and and I got a 15 years of life sentence because of that. And so, mm, so that's still, when I go back to that night and I think about that, I think about that person that I took his life, and I don't know if he got a family. I'm pretty, I know he has a family, but I'm just like, I don't know, if he got kids or anything like that. So it always kind of, brings me back to reality of, the damage that I caused not only to him and his family, but to the community, because not only him and his family is affected, but the community is affected as well. The people that seen that, other people, the people that lives around there had to see that stuff. And, it's just a domino effect when you do some stuff like that and you don't think about it. And then the consequences of your stupidity. And, so sometimes, yeah, when I do talk about that, yeah, it stings. It still stings no matter what, because, I'm here, I'm uh, enjoying my life, and that brother is no longer here. So I always gotta, and this is part of why I do what I do.
yeah.
Because it's a healing process for me. It helps me make amends to him, his family, and just the community. And then it also helps me share my story to our little brothers and sisters that are listening.
Yeah.
Because this lifestyle, is painful. It's not something to be bragging about. It's not anything to be proud of. This will lead you down a road that, if you're lucky, you'll be sitting here, trying to share your story, because if not, you can be gone in, a quick second, So
Yeah.
yeah, that's how I caught my case. I got that 15 to life sentence, which I turned into 30 years, which I didn't have to do. I ended up turning that into 30 years because once I did that, it was like, what else do I have to live for? I lost all hope, didn't care about nothing no more. I took this man out. I disgraced the family. So, what's the next thing, I'm still alive, but it's not even worth living no more. So when I went to prison, I still stayed into that life, survival now. It's a whole different twist when you go to prison because that's where you got, you know, now you're with men that, that's all they know is this type of lifestyle. So now you got to figure out a way how you're going to survive, and, you got to hustle. You got to be involved in whatever you need to be involved in to survive. And so that's a whole nother lifestyle, that you got to go through. And you're never, and the thing is, when I first went to prison, I never thought I was going to have a chance to come home. Never. So I was willing to die in there too. I just kind of set my, like, this is it.
Yeah.
This is where, Bell Taulua was going to die.
It's crazy how one like one moment in your life and it changed the whole direction of your life. Sometimes I remember you and I were talking how like often with guys, young usos that are living in the street life or whatnot, it's any actions that are made out of not thinking straight or stupidity can lead you anywhere. And like it's just crazy to hear that it wasn't specifically a gang activity that you were doing that put you away, but it was through trying to get away from the police that and crashing into another car that changed your life forever. And something powerful that you shared with me, because I remember saying like you could end up that life, you could end up in prison, and you said, yeah, that's if you're lucky. And that was something that really hit me because I was thinking, like, to me, I'm thinking, oh man, like prison would be one of the worst things, whereas you just shared after you served your time and now you're sitting there and you're in you're enjoying your life now, and you're sharing your story with the youth and encouraging people, whereas you could end up 6 feet deep, and that's the reality of it. And I remember that conversation and that with you, and that was something that really hit me.
Yeah. I mean, that's, it's just crazy when you don't think about your life, you don't think about the future.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, we just thought about today and hopefully making to the next day. You know, that's the way we thought. And yeah, it's just it's by the grace of God that I've been able to get this second chance to
Amen.
just to do something better, man, just to be a better person and to give back, and I'm real passionate about it. I love what I'm doing now, and that just makes me wake up every day. I'm always going to be able to do something to help somebody else,
Yeah.
so. But it took me a long time to get to where I'm at today. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of soul searching because when I went to prison, I stayed in that game for a long time. I stayed in that game for at least another 15 to 20 years of survival, drugs, alcohol, uh,
Yeah.
just hustling and whatever came along with it. If we have to do something to somebody or somebody needs to be dealt with, I mean, all those crazy things, and they say, this is what's really crazy. They say it takes a man, to survive in prison, and I'm like, man, it don't take no man to survive in prison. It takes a man to it takes a man to survive, but it takes a man to turn his life around. If you're in there trying to turn your life around, then I'll say, okay, now you're becoming a man. But
Yeah.
anybody could survive in prison. Anybody. So it don't. They say that's where uh, uh, they make. They separate the man from the boys. That's just all drama, man. It's just like Now, if you went in there like a lot of us did, and you were able to turn your life around,
Yeah.
that's what I call, being a man. When you're
Yeah.
able to take responsibility, when you're able to of your life, when you're able to hold yourself accountable for everything that you do, and just make sure that you're doing the right thing every day and making the right choices, and just trying to do something to be better.
Yeah.
You know.
Going back to like your time in prison. So even though you're Samoan, but like you went in as a Mexican gangster, didn't you, or somebody that was from a Mexican gang?
Yeah, I went in there and I stayed with the Mexicans for a minute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I
like
ended up. Uh huh.
race is a big thing in prisons in the States.
Oh yeah, yeah. You're separated.
Yeah,
The Crips got their own spot. The Bloods got their own spot. The whites, Nazi lowriders, and all of them, they got their own spot. The essays got their own spots. The others, the Samoans and all the Asian, the Polynesian, we got our own spot. And everything's separated.
yeah,
You got your own tables, you got your own chairs. You don't just go over there and sit in somebody's territory.
yeah.
It just caused a whole bunch of conflict.
Yeah.
We fight in there, and we kill each other for a table.
Wow.
You know, and or anything that we feel like belongs to us.
Yeah,
We're gonna go. There's gonna be some damage done, and you don't cross the line. You got people that resolves issues. When that can be resolved when something's going on. But sometimes you just go at it. Because they know sometimes things just happen. And you just got to do what you have to do.
yeah.
Yeah, but we'll kill each other for a piece of grass. Because you
Oh,
go out to the
wow.
yard, there's grass, there's dirt, and you got your turf, we got our turf. And somebody might just be walking by, and they might have a conversation with somebody, but they sitting there or standing there too long. Excuse me. It's time to move away from that.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's just man, California is probably one of the worst as far as the mentality of gangs, and because everything is run by just, it's the race thing, it's the gang thing, it's like, and then it's the drugs and the politics. The drugs is like, because everybody got, their own way of selling things, and when you owe money, you know, like if somebody from the Islander car was doing some drug transaction, and he's trying to hide from us and not letting us know what he's doing, and he owes some other people money, they're not going to just go get him. They're going to come and talk to some people that runs that car, and they're going to let them know, hey, your folks owe some money. Can you guys please take care of it?
yeah,
That's how they try to resolve things. But then when you don't take care of the issue, it leads to bigger things.
yeah. You
Yeah.
you spoke about you just mentioned cars, different cars, the Islander car, and so if we could just speak on that, like because from out here in Australia, even our prison culture is a bit different. So
So
what does
so
that mean?
so the island car is the Samoans, the Tongans, uh, the Fijians. If you from the island, you in the car.
Yeah,
And so um, we have the Asians, all the Asians, the Hmongs, the Vietnamese, the Chinese, the Japanese, whatever. They all in that car. So it's funny because one of the things that we talk about all the time is that it don't matter if me and you were killing each other out here in the streets. When you go in there, we gonna watch each other's back. We gonna love each other. We gonna take care of each other, you know. And so that's what we're trying to push out here in California now. We're trying to push the same type of love that we do in prison, you know, because the bottom line is we're outnumbered in there, but so we have to stick together. And
Yeah.
that's what makes us strong, because every other race, they know that we might be short, you know, but they know with that heart, you know, they know them damn islanders, man, you can't just go up in there and do something, because
Yeah.
you're gonna, you know, they're gonna come strong. So, and they respect that. They know that we have love like that in our Kavale. So
Yeah.
they respect that. And so, you know, there's no trying to get over on us or nothing like that, you know. So
Yeah.
that's the thing about it, you know, we out here, you know, on the streets killing each other, but when you go in there, you love each other.
Yeah.
There's no other way to do it in there. You know, you can't come in there and act like, you know, you're gonna do something to another. So no, it ain't gonna happen like that. You just gonna come in there and we all gonna chill.
Yeah. So it's crazy to think that maybe one of the reasons why like a young Uso, you know, a young Tokoua might go to prison is because of something that he did against another Uso. And he might be in the same car as with that family member or with even with the person that he was fighting against. So
Yeah.
that's so that's what you guys are pushing out there. And so when you first went into prison, were you with the Mexican car or the Islander car?
Mexican car. Mexican car, but I slowly got out of that. And you know, because, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, I'm like some type of special person, or, you know, I was able to get out of that and be free, you know, from that lifestyle. But it was just, you know, I believe, you know, if you carry yourself with respect, and you know, and people respect you, you know, they will respect what you do.
Yeah,
You know, so I didn't leave under bad terms or anything like that. And everybody, you know, I was able to do what I did. You know, I went back to the Usoka Valley, and it was all good. The Usos, they accepted me like, you know, like a brother. You know, it wasn't no big deal. You know,
I saw on 30 to Life on also Ron podcast that you guys call it coming home.
yeah, yeah, because a lot of us, when we go in there, we get caught up in these different gangs, you know, that we come from. Like there's a lot of Usos that are Crips or
Yeah,
Bloods. So they don't know no better when they go to prison. They like, you know, they're still stuck in that same old thing.
yeah,
But after a while, they see, you know, things that, you know, that they don't, you know, really agree with, and or whatever it is that made them change their mind. You know, that made them, you know, like Ron said, coming home, you know, come back to
yeah.
the house, you know. So yeah,
That's cool. So we just briefly spoke about, like what was it like within prison, within the like racial terms, and what were the islanders like in there. But maybe if you could share just some things that you want to communicate to the community of what prison was like the young youth that are look towards that lifestyle, and maybe going to prison is like going to university, or like that's where the OGs go. And I don't, I know it sounds silly, but I remember being a youth, it was like something cool that when someone goes to prison, you bragged about it, like, oh man, it's my also man, he's locked up, and shout out to or and you always wanted to tell people that you had usos in prison, and things like that, and it was almost like a glorified thing. But I
Yeah,
was thinking maybe you could share what are your views on that.
yeah, that lifestyle, you know, I mean, I can understand a little youngster thinking that way, right? Because we all thought that way growing up. But, you know, I lived that. So I know how hurtful that is, how painful that is, waking up every single day. You're pretty much eating the same thing all the time. It's the same menu every week. There's going to be a lot of lonely nights. There's going to be times when you call home and everybody is there, and holidays and all that. You're going to miss everything of life. The only thing there is that you're just alive. You're just alive trying to survive in prison, but everything else, you're just blank to it. You can't really reach out to your family. When they come visit, it's only for a few hours. It's just like it's like a roller coaster that just never stops. Because and it, it's just like I looked out that window for years. Oops. I looked out that window and it was painful, man. I was always thinking like, when is this going to be over with? When am I going to be able to go home? Because I've been to all kind of prisons in California, but when you look out the window, it looks the same thing. It's the same. You're just looking out in the skies, you look in the stars at night, and you just wonder when this thing's going to be over with. But you have to pay the price. You just got to pay the price of what you did. You got to own up that. And like everything else in life, you have to own up to what you did. So yeah, it's not a life to brag about at all. You might see it on one of the rap videos, how they glorify and all that. Yeah, them rappers ain't been in prison. They just
Mm.
talk about all that lifestyle, but they ain't lived that lifestyle for real. You got some real players from the folk movement that did that and been there,
Yeah.
but we're out here talking about how that, just it's a shameful life. you know who wants to brag about your uncle being in prison? I mean,
Yeah.
they got people that do that, but man, I don't want you to talk about your uncle being in prison or your father being in prison. So it just it's just a wonder. It's just something that I'm never gonna ever get this 30 years back. I lost that. I lost that time with my kids, where I would have been able to connect with them and be the father that I should have been to them. We got a relationship now, but it's not a relationship where we're like this.
Yeah.
We talk to each other, we love each other, but it's not like I have that bond with them. So those are all the things that these kids don't see. They might go in there young, but they might have a kid, something like that. And then, for me, I never got to take care of my parents when they was old. When they got to that age where I was able to take care of them like they took care of me. I
Yeah.
never got to hug my mom or my dad, my sister, my brother. These are all things that are painful, man. That you are going to miss out on.
Yeah.
You just going to miss that, man. The bond I should have had with my daughter, it's just like I'm still hurting on that. That pain won't go away, you
Yeah.
know, and that's what I'm trying to share with these young folks. They don't have to go through that experience that I've been through. Listen to my words, listen to what I got to tell you. Let me be that experience to tell you that you don't have to go through it. Because once you get in it, you might not get out of it, because they got predators up in there. They got people that will hurt you if you give them a chance. So don't let this, just because we out here, I was able to make it out and I'm speaking. Don't let that be the reason for you to like, oh, well, if OG made it, I can make it. Hell no. There's a lot of in-betweens that, you know, from the first year to the 30 year. And all that combined, man, is painful. It's
Yeah.
shameful, you know. There's things that, I regret doing, and I can never make up none of that stuff. But I do it through this. This
Yeah.
is where I give back, So to all you young brothers and sisters, man, listen to a triple OG that's been in prison for 30 years. This lifestyle is painful. This is something that you would never want to wish on anybody else. Don't go through it. Listen to somebody, you know, and yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like just the severity of like thinking about how long that actually was, serving 30 years. Like I just turned 30 years old, and I'm thinking like my whole life, that's what you spent in prison. And so you were sentenced to 15 to life. So how does that work? So you had another 15 on top, or
15 to life means you can do anywhere from 15 to 17 to 20 to 25. It all depends on what kind of program you give them.
yeah,
It all depends if you want to go in there and do good, turn your life around. And because I had to go to a board, and the board is usually three people sitting there. And so when you go to the board, you gotta, because they got all kind of self-help programs. They got alternative to violence, they got anger management, they got domestic violence. I mean, the list goes on and on. And so these are the type of programs you got to go to. And so when you got AA, NA, so when you go to these programs, when you go to the board, they're going to ask you, okay, what did you learn in this program? What did you learn in this program? Well, what I was doing, when I first started going in, I started doing the program, but I wasn't paying attention. I just went over there, grabbed that piece of paper because they give you a chrono after you finish the class.
yeah,
It might be like a 4-week class or something, 6-week, and they'll give you a chrono saying you completed, you did good, and all that, whatever. So, I used to collect those things, and I'll go to the board and I'll give it to them. And the board member will ask me, well, Mr. Taulua, what did you learn over here? And I would sit there and like try to fake it, try to fake it and like tell them some BS, and they can read you. They know the BS, they know when you come in there and you're faking it. So I did that. I played with the game for at least 15 years. I went in and out the board like it was nothing, so yeah, I did that. But no, I ended up doing 30 years because it took me that long to get my life right. Because when I finally said, enough was enough, and we had a governor that came in that was letting lifers out if you did your program, if you went in there and you showed the board that you turned your life around, they were letting you out, because before they didn't let nobody out.
yeah,
We had Republican governors that it was, they just shut the door on you when you
yeah,
go in there. They was like, come back in 3 years, come back in 5 years, come back, whatever.
yeah,
Yeah, when they turn you down, they do that. So what happened is we finally got a Democrat up in there that was, giving us a chance, Governor
yeah,
Brown. And when he came on board, the rumors started going around like, hey, Brown is letting people out. So
wow,
boom, we hopped on it, and we got on the I started, it was Brown coming on board. It was me getting to that point where I needed to do something now. And then somebody, God brings somebody into my life that helped me turn my life around, which is my wife.
yeah,
Then it was my girlfriend. I mean, we would just start talking at the time.
yeah,
And so she was really on me about making sure I stay with my program. She's the one that told me to go back to school, get this GED. And, so I needed that push. I needed somebody to push me. And so that's what helped me go back to everything that I was doing. And
yeah,
so when I was going through all those programs, it helped me get in touch with a lot of deep feelings that I had, a lot of things that you don't talk about, you just like sweep it under the rug, and, you just suck it all up because that's what we're taught to do when we're young, man up, you know. And so I was able to get in touch with my emotions, my feelings, and understanding, if I get angry, it's not a bad thing. You know, it's just a feeling, man. You know, you just know how to deal with it. Understanding if I feel like I'm getting emotional and I can't handle it, go ahead and let it out, man. It ain't nothing bad. You know, we're taught not to cry. You know, so all those things started connecting. You know, I started connecting the dots and everything, and I started, man. I just started learning about myself, man, and so I let everything go slowly. You know, I started letting things go. I stopped being around the drug game. You know, as far as selling anything, and I got away from drinking. I stopped getting high, and I was doing all these things. But the thing about it, when you change your life, is you've been in these bad habits for so long. You know,
Yeah.
from before I went to prison, and so some of the bad habits you still have it, but you don't know you have it.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy because those bad habits will pop up. You know, like for me, I liked it to talk to women. You know,
Yeah.
not thinking it was anything bad because I'm not dating them or nothing, but I already was committed to, you know, my girl back, you know, before we got married.
Yeah.
And so, you know, uh, uh, word, you know, women, you know, when they come visit you, you know, they all stick together. You know, they kind of watch each other's guy, you know, like just in case my wife don't come, she got a friend over there that's gonna, oh, make sure I don't go in there and visit. But anyways, she got word, you know, something was going on. And so I remember, you know, I had got transferred to another prison. I remember I went in there, and uh we started talking, and I could see there was something wrong, you know.
Yeah.
And and then she hit me, you know, she started crying, and you know, and it really hit home on that, you know, because I seen, you know, like, damn, man, what the hell's wrong with me, you know? I changed, you know, I'm telling her I'm changing, you know, I'm doing all these things, but I still sticking on to some stupid, dumb habits, you
Yeah.
know, for what? And then when I seen her crying and her tears, it just like broke me down, you know, because she didn't deserve it. You
Yeah.
know, she don't deserve that. And that was the day I said, you know, okay, you know what, man, you know, it helped me learn that I will still have these little habits that I need to just let go. I ain't gonna be able to be who I want to be if I continue to hold on. Just the little small things. I let the big things go, but it's these little small things that, you know, I held on to. And that was the life changer right there. That was the big game changer for me. Was that, you know, that just helped me know that, you know what, I can't half step on this. You know, I got to be all in like I was when I was banging, and all in now that I'm trying to change.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. So after after I did that, I stayed with my programs, and I was going back to the board.
Yeah.
And I was still getting turned down because, you know, they go by your records, they go by your everything that, you know, all the stuff that I've been in trouble for, all the things I went to the hole for. They check all that stuff out. And just because I turned my life around doesn't mean that they're gonna let me out right away. You know, which I didn't feel bad at all. You know, when I went back to the board this time, I was good. I was good. When they turn me down, they tell you why they turn you down. They say you're on a good program, continue to do that, but you need some more time. And I was good with that. I felt like, you know what, I'm gonna accept that, you know, and I'm gonna come back. You know, I had hope now. There was
Yeah.
hope, you know, it was hope there. You know, it wasn't like I was discouraged. I just knew I had to work. So I got shut down, man, another 3 times before I finally got my date. I finally went in there, and then we went through the whole thing. We're talking, and they want to hear you. They want you to, you know, like I'm talking right now.
Yeah.
And then they go out for 30 minutes to an hour, whatever, and they debrief and do whatever they do, make their decision. They come back, and they let you know. And so I remember sitting there. It's them and me and my lawyer, and my lawyer. I'm listening to him, but you know, for some reason, it just everything just went quiet on me. And I look at my lawyer, and I'm like, man, did he? You know, did am I hearing right? when he said that, you've been found suitable. And man, it was like, I couldn't believe it, man. I just sat there and I was like, it was a heck of a feeling, man. I just can't describe the feeling. All I wanted to do was call my wife up because they were coming to visit me on that weekend.
Yeah.
Because they knew I was going to the board, so they wanted to come no matter, even though if there was a no or a yes, they wanted to be there. She brought my grandkids.
Yeah.
And so I remember calling them when I got out. I went over there and I called them, and man, all I heard as soon as I told them I was good was just a bunch of people screaming.
Ah, wow.
Yeah, it was like the best feeling in the world, man. It was like, yeah. So when they came to visit that weekend, man, we ate a bunch of food,
Yeah.
had a bunch of Twinkies and
Yeah.
ding dongs, and yeah, it was cool.
Yeah. The party was on.
It was on.
So you went in 1987 and you got out in 2017.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a journey, man. It was a journey. It was, man. It was, man. It was just like, when I think about it, when I was in there, when I was stuck in this lifestyle, I didn't really think about it, because I lost hope. And I didn't really think about the years going by, because I thought, this is where I'm gonna die. So, I'm in the groove of things. I'm surviving. I'm hustling. I'm gambling. I mean, we're doing everything and
Yeah.
anything. You don't think about the years just going by. All of a sudden, your hair start going. The brochure's getting gray.
Yeah.
And now you're like, God dang, Damn.
And so you got out 2017, and now, like, just how you doing now, you're sharing your story, and you mentioned before about the fall movement, and I mentioned it early on before we started the interview. And so the fall movement stands for Fa'atasinga also, which means the gathering of brothers, and also fo, Fou, also in Samoan means new, like a new thing.
Yeah.
And there's three programs, and it's the youth outreach, the re-entry, and the recovery. And
Yes.
you're currently leading the re-entry program.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's my new gig.
Yes.
Yeah, and I love it, man. I create the resources for our brothers and sisters that are coming home.
Yeah.
So I'm connecting with all kind of other organizations, making sure that when they come home, they'll have a job, they'll have a trade if they want to go learn a trade, if they want to go back to school. We got it all, uh, clothing, transportation, and so they can go get their social security ID, get started, care packages, whatever the Usos need, the full moon is gonna have. That's my job, to make sure that they got these connections. And I love connecting with other people because they love working with people that love doing what we do. So there's a lot of organizations out here in Southern California. And we also connect with our brothers and sisters out there in Northern California.
Yeah.
They've got a big Polynesian organizations out there, Ainga One. They got United Players. They got our sisters from Talanoa Tuesday. So everybody's on the move. Out here we got the Mao Sisters. That's another Samoan group that girls that was started because they was inspired by what we're doing.
Yeah.
So these are also girls that have been into some trouble, that went through some things, and now they're getting their group started. So we're just trying to make sure that our Polynesian community is taken care of, because everything over here, a lot of the Palangis, the Meudis, the Mexicans, they all already got a big pot of all the money that's involved to help our communities.
Yeah.
So the islanders, we're pretty on the, on the bottom, islanders and the Asian community,
Yeah.
but the Asian community been around a little bit longer than us,
Yeah.
so there's funds for the islanders and the Asians. And we're going to try to make sure that we get the money that we got coming for to help our community out. It's
Yeah.
not closed to anybody else. We're open to everybody, but
Yeah.
we have to help our community. That's our main goal.
Yeah. I love what the full movement is doing. And I also love that it's a lot of OGs in the folk movement and people that have been involved. It's not guys on the outside that have lived squeaky clean and just want to help out every now and then. It's guys that were in the trenches and did their years and are knowledgeable and being able to pass their story on to help our usos and our our brothers and sisters that are going through the street life or getting locked up. So just big ups to everything that you're doing out there. And you also just had your 1 year anniversary, right?
Yeah, we just had our 1 year anniversary Friday. Um, and I'll send you some pictures on that too. It
Yeah.
came out really nice. We were able to invite. We decided just to go with all the guys. Bring a homie from the hood,
Yeah.
and and just break bread. We had a
Yeah.
nice little Hawaiian restaurant out there. We all got together, and man, it was. I think this ain't never happened. We were able to sit down. It didn't matter what colors you flagging, but just break bread and have a
Yeah.
good time. It was, man, it was beautiful, man. I'm gonna send you some pictures, but man, it was like, you had to be there to feel it because it was spiritually uplifting, and just to be able to do this, man, it's never been done.
Yeah, that's right. And you're also bringing the usos from different neighborhoods and different gangs together.
Right. Yeah,
So
that's what we did.
that's a
Yeah.
big thing.
So we'll continue. This is what we're trying to do, just for the other program. Let me just speak on the other two real quick.
Yeah.
My brother KT Luafalamana is running that recovery part,
Yeah.
and he's a ex-drug addict. He's a gang member, been in prison as well, and he's really serious about his recovery. And so he has a lot of knowledge about that, and he runs that group. All of our groups have meetings like the ones I invited you to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, all of our groups got meetings weekly, ours every other week. We have meetings far as for the community to come in, and if it's the recovery, it's a bunch of brothers and sisters that's going through that'll come in there and share their story, whatever, to support and encourage each other. So that's what we do in all these programs. And then also the youth outreach is brother Peter Afamata. Him, Upu, James, they run this program, and we're trying to reach out to all these different ways that we can reach out to our community. They do a wonderful job trying to connect the youth and just show them a better way, just talking to them, and they have their own way of doing things. But these they have it's Peter Afamata that's leading that group, but the two brothers that's helping putting that group together is James and Upu. James was in prison for 30 years, and Upu was in prison for 24 years.
Well,
So these brothers come from that type of background where, because Upu grew up in Compton, James grew up in Oceanside,
yeah.
so they, it's just, God is just working in all kind of ways for us. We got on the recovery, there's another brother named Vika. He's on that group as well, and he did 30 years in prison. So if you count the years that this group been in prison, it's probably close to maybe 250 years or 300 years, because there's a lot of us that's been in prison, you know, but
Wow.
every single one of us has turned our lives around,
Yeah.
and we're serious about it. We're this is not something that we're doing because, this is the flavor of the day.
Yeah.
Nah, this is something we're doing because we owe it to our community. We the one that did this, and we got to redo it. We got to, do everything in our power to make a difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Crazy that
Powerful stuff.
it's crazy that, like, as you shared earlier in the beginning of the interview, you were saying how mentally you guys were thinking when you were in your time with the gang when you were young. Mentally, you were thinking that you were protecting the neighborhood, but then to see this full circle of going through life and eventually doing that, doing exactly that at the end of your sentence as well. Like,
Yeah,
it's crazy to see that kind of full circle moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're
you are
actually,
protecting the
yeah,
neighborhood now.
like you're actually doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's eh, eh, man, the work, man. It's just something rewarding about it. I mean, it's crazy because you're absolutely right on that, man, because we went from doing that, now we're just doing something totally different, and I just love it, man. I love it when I'm able to connect with other, like I went to church Saturday, right? And they had the pastor up there speaking, and man, he's speaking and talking, and I'm like, man, I need this guy in my life because I can do something with him in our
Yeah,
movement.
yeah,
We can team up somehow. I don't know how we're going to team up, but I need that spirit.
yeah.
And it was crazy because when he found out I was from the folk movement, he wanted to connect with me.
Wow.
And I was like, wow, I didn't even think that this man knew who I was.
Yeah,
And so those are the kind of connections that I love, man. I love going somewhere where people know about something, little bit about us or a lot about
yeah,
us, and they
yeah,
want to connect. Man, I need it all, man. We
yeah,
we need
yeah.
it all.
Yeah.
We're trying to build a village, man. We're trying to
Man,
build a village out here.
yeah.
Oh, I
I
love that, bro.
Yeah, I think that's something that we shared. Like I spoke with you, Bell, about, but it was something that on the also table talk with me, Waves, and Nons and Rolly. That was something that was always on our heart. Was like we need to help our usos in the streets, and because we met in Bible college, and what we were learning in Bible college wasn't necessarily something that was being able to help our usos on the streets. And then when I spoke with you, also Waves, and you were saying, man, like it's all about teaming up. It's all about doing it together and
Yeah,
teaming up with OGs like yourself and people that have lived that life, and let's all do it together because at the end of the day, we are a village.
yeah. And that's what we're trying to build, man, is a village, man. You guys can't do it yourselves. You got to
Yeah.
have your army. We got to have your warriors with you, my
Yes,
brother.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir. I
you
think
know.
just before we finish up, I just wanted to ask you: is there anything that you would like as to share as a message to people? Because sometimes on also table talk we get people that some of the usos listen in from detention or like detention centers that they're just about to be deported or going through deportation, but also maybe some usos on the streets and living the street life. And is there anything that you want to just briefly share about just out to the usos, a message that you would want to close on for the usos on the streets and the usos in lockup?
Yeah, most definitely, man. Whatever you think you caught up in, that lifestyle, you really think that is about something. It really ain't. I'm living proof of it. It ain't about nothing, man. I spent 30 years in prison for what? When I could have been chilling with my family. I could have been doing something great, long time ago. But I threw my life away, man. And if you're sitting in the detention thinking that it's all over, it ain't over because they're sending you back home. Okay, you might have lost a little bit out here in New Zealand or Australia, wherever you're at, but at least you're out. At least you're going to be going back home, and it's never too late to change. Look, look at me. I'm gray, bald headed, and I made the change. And I love the life that I'm living today. You know, you don't have to throw everything away just because you want to make a name for yourself, or you want to impress, your older homie, because at the end of the day, man, it's not worth any of that. You know, you may not have a good relationship with your parents. Maybe they may be too strict with you, but try to reach out to a friend. Just reach out to anybody and speak about those things, talk about those things. Go and get involved in sports. If you can get involved in sports, go do something like that. Go do something positive. Go back to church, and because in the long run, if you get it correct now, if you listen to an OG like me and try to get it right, you're gonna live a happy life. But if you continue on that road, man, I'm telling you, it's painful. I lived it. It's painful, it's shameful, and you're gonna have a lot of lonely nights where you don't get to eat what you want to eat, you don't get to drink what you want to drink, you don't get to go out to get you a fresh air anytime you feel like it. The door opens up to go when you go eat breakfast. They open the door up for you. They tell you what time you get to go to breakfast, and then they gonna tell you to go back in your cell, and you sit in your cell for another 5-6 hours, and they come and open it up if you want to go to lunch. Now they don't even you don't even go out to go get a lunch. They'll throw a sack lunch in your cell. So you get a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. And it's the same program every single day. It's the same breakfast for the whole week, eggs, scrambled eggs, potatoes, beans. You don't get no McDonald's. You don't get balsami or faspori or anything like that. You're going to live a life that you're going to be crying like a little baby if you're going to man up in prison, man, because they taking everything away from you, my brothers and sisters. Everything. They gonna strip you down, and excuse the way I'm gonna say it, they gonna strip you down butt naked, and then you're gonna walk in, they're gonna give you your clothes, and from there on, you're just a number. My number is E31347. That was my name for 30 years. That was my name. When they called Taulua, I answered 831347. That was me. That's how I answered to the man, You're no longer, a human being. They look at you as a number. So, man, you got brothers here that love you. You got brothers out here in Southern California that love you. Out here in California, we love you guys. And this is why we're on here. And the next time you probably see me, I'm going to have my crew with me. We're going to talk some more because it ain't over. We got some messages to give you, little brothers and sisters, because we love you. We care about our Polynesian community, and we don't want you to be 30, 40 years from now sitting in my chair telling your story. No, we want you to tell the story about how you did some great things out there in Australia and New Zealand, man. So don't never give up, though. If you fall down, keep getting up. Keep getting up. Because I fell down 1,000 times, but I got up 1,001 times. And I'm out here now. I'm loving my family, I'm loving life, and I'm loving doing what I do. So keep your head up, young man and young lady, because God loves you too.
Wow.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, also, Bell.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. My pleasure.
Bell.
Definitely, man, the story that is worth sharing, and also not even finished yet. And we got way more to keep sharing, way more to keep working on, but I really appreciate your time. If there's anyone that is watching us and you want to reach out to the Fold Movement, you can find them on Instagram. They do have an Instagram, that's FOU, Fold Movement. If not, and if I'm saying it wrong, I will find the specifics. You can message us on also Table Talk Podcast, and we'll link you to the Fold Movement. If you're in Southern California or California in the United States, and you're getting out of, and you just got out of prison, or you need some help from the USOs, let us know or go directly to them. But if you're watching this, we'll help you link to the USOs. So, man, just really appreciate it. Also, Bell, Pineapple, we just thank you so much, man. And thank you.
Thank you, Bell. That That was
Yeah.
amazing. I'm literally sitting in here in awe of your story, man. And I just want to honor you and thank you for taking the time to really, share your message and share your heart. I can't wait for the next one, to be honest.
Go ahead and take your time, do what you're going to do, and I'm gonna put a panel together of some a couple of my guys and a couple of girls,
Yeah.
that's involved out here, because we want y'all to get it. We want y'all to get that message, man. We care about our folks. I don't care if you in Kungamanga somewhere. We want the message to get there.
Yeah.
Come on.
All right. Anything else that we want to share? I think I'll close up in prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for today. We thank you for this opportunity that we got to come together and to hear a story and to share a story that you have had your hand over this whole time. We just thank you for our OG, Triple OG, also Bell, AKA Pineapple. We thank you for his life. And we thank you, Lord, that you have brought him so far to be able to share his story. And Lord, maybe all those years ago, he never would have thought that he would be sharing stories even out here in New Zealand and Australia and around the world, Lord. And we just thank you that you had his hand the whole time, Lord, that you guided him the whole way. And we just pray, Lord, for the future to come, Lord, that there'll be many more lives impacted, Lord, and that there'll be many more young brothers and sisters that will be encouraged by the story, Lord. We thank you for the full movement and everything that they're doing for Atasino also. We thank you for them, Lord. We pray that you continue to bless them and keep them, Lord, and continue to work through them, Lord. And we just pray that many more will come to the table, Lord, and share their story to be able to encourage our people. And we pray all these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen and amen.
Amen, my brothers. I really enjoyed it, man. I want the message to hit. Hopefully it does some good for our peoples out there, man. I'm really looking forward to getting some good results, and just keep up the good work, though, man.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, just to quickly do an outro for our listeners, I just wanted to thank you again for taking the time to tune in. Also, thank you to everyone, obviously, who's taking the time to listen to the story. If you obviously have anything you want to chat about or talk to us about, please feel free to hit us up on our DMs, and we can link you up with Bells if you want to talk to him or anything that he's got going on. So, but thank you again, Bell, Frosty.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, if anybody want to get a hold of Pineapple, let them know, man.
Yeah,
you let them know you got the connection. All right, love you, brothers, man.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Take care.
You guys have a good night. Oh, you guys in daytime, huh?
Yeah.
And you guys are on Monday, huh?
Yeah, Monday. We're Monday here.
Okay, well, have a good week then, my brothers.
Yeah,
You too.
All right. Bye.